you ever read a book or a comic and thought to yourself, wow, this is such a well thought out, fantastic, memorable story that could totally translate to film or television? Has Hollywood then ever decided to adapt that book or comic and you thought to yourself, my God, what have they done?
May God have mercy on us all.
Saddle up, boys and girls. It's time to crap on writers in Hollywood again.
Buckle up, buckaroo!
I'm Troy from Marks on Media, and today we're talking about why we, as fans, care so much about source material and lore being disrespected by greedy corporate goons, and I'm using some words from George R.R. Martin to back myself up. Now, let's get into it. There are a lot of personal thoughts and feelings I have to share on this subject. I've shared them in previous videos, but now I've got a super famous writer to back me up. So, of course, I'm gonna complain off of his back.
Of course.
Let's take a look at some quotes from the Bounding into Comics article titled, Game of Thrones creator George R.R. Martin once again slams Hollywood's habit of disrespecting source material. Quote, they never make it better, end quote.
Nope.
The first part of this article is a bit hilarious because they outright poke fun at George, saying he's, quote, taking time away from not writing The Winds of Winter to offer his thoughts on the current entertainment landscape. Sick burn, bros. In the interview, Martin voiced his frustration with Hollywood's habit of running roughshod over any original work they choose to adapt for the small or big screens. Let's get some direct quotes from him. Quote, everywhere you look, there are more screenwriters and producers eager to take great stories and make them their own, opined the Elden Ring writer. Quote, it does not seem to matter whether the source material was written by Stan Lee, Charles Dickens, Ian Fleming, Roald Dahl, Ursula K. Le Guin, J.R.R. Tolkien, Mark Twain, Raymond Chandler, Jane Austen, or, well, anyone.
Fact.
No matter how major a writer is, no matter how great the book, there always seems to be someone on hand who thinks that he can do it better, eager to take the story and improve on it.
Take a big step back and literally your own face!
The book is the book. The film is the film. They will tell you as if they were saying something profound, Martin further criticized. Quote, they then make the story their own. They never make it better, though. 999 times out of 1,000, they make it worse. End quote.
Yup!
Speaking to his last point, Martin then noted that, quote, once in a while, though, we do get a really good adaptation of a really good book, and when that happens, it deserves applause, end quote. He's spot on the money. Do you like the story, or do you not like the story? If you like the story, then adapt that damn story for TV or film. If you don't like that story, then make something original. Don't gut that story and then wear its cover around like some Ed Gein skin suit. Who the hell are these Hollywood wannabe writers who couldn't put together an interesting story to save their lives to come in and tear apart great works by people who actually knew what the hell they were doing?
From the bottom of my heart, man to man, your story.
This is the epitome of standing on the shoulders of giants and claiming you can fly. Also, no, I don't give a pass if the author says, I gave them permission to go ahead and tear my work apart and completely destroy it. It's still wrong, but now the author's just an idiot and a sellout.
You're so dumb. You are really dumb. For real.
The article goes on about a recent blog post by Martin because, you know, he can blog like a madman and watch tons of new TV, but he can't finish the damn book series he's very well known for.
Yeesh. Sorry about that.
Quote, I came across one of those instances recently when I binged the new FX series of Shogun. The fascinating thing is that while the old and new versions have some significant differences, the subtitles that make the Japanese dialogue intelligible to English-speaking viewers being the biggest, they are both faithful to the Clavel novel in their own way, Martin opined of the series. Quote, I think the author would have been pleased. Both old and new screenwriters did honor the source material and gave us terrific adaptations, resisting the impulse to make it their own, end quote. There are some people that honestly don't care. Some people love the whole wear my favorite intellectual properties and fandoms around like a hollowed out skin suit. Just make sure you slap some familiar names on characters and towns, and I'll pop a nerd boner. As you can tell, I'm not one of those types of people.
Not impressed by your performance.
If I read a book and I like that book, then I hear that there will be a movie or television show made about that book, I expect that movie or show to be a faithful retelling of what the hell I loved about the book.
But why? Why would you do that? Why would you do any of that?
Will it be a perfect one-to-one? Of course not. The Lord of the Rings, which are my favorite movies of all time, were not perfect, faithful, one-to-one retellings of the J.R.R. Tolkien trilogy, but it was extremely close.
Missed it by that much.
It kept the look and spirit of the books, and it didn't actively look to subvert the source material. While I love the Witcher series on Netflix, I can certainly sympathize with fans of the books by Andrzej Sapkowski who are not getting the books come to life and are actively being disrespected by the hacks at Netflix.
Thank you, Doctor. Take 2 of these and call me in the morning.
I can also sympathize with the fans of The Wheel of Time who were disrespected by Amazon. I don't think the show is necessarily bad, just pretty boring.
I hate you. I hate you.
But you know what they say. They came for The Witcher, and I shrugged. They came for The Wheel of Time, and I looked away. Then, Amazon came for The Lord of the Rings. Luckily, I wasn't alone. There's a large fan uprising against the evil Bezos empire over that one. Let's hit on a couple of more things said by George R.R. Martin before we wrap this one up. In 2022, Martin talked about what I mentioned with The Lord of the Rings. Quote, "How faithful do you have to be? Some people don't feel that they have to be faithful at all. There's this phrase that goes around, 'I'm gonna make it my own,'" he continued. "I hate that phrase, and I think Neil Gaiman probably hates that phrase too." End quote. Adding his thoughts to the conversation, the event's host, Sandman creator Neil Gaiman, asserted in reply, quote, "I do. I spent 30 years watching people make Sandman their own," he recalled, quote, "and some of those people hadn't even read Sandman to make it their own. They just flipped through a few comics or something," end quote. However, recognizing that certain changes are sometimes necessary to help translate a story to a completely different medium, Martin did offer the clarification that sometimes, quote, "there are changes that you have to make or that you're called upon to make that I think are legitimate, and there are other ones that are not legitimate," end quote.
Why would you say something so controversial yet so brave?
Neil Gaiman is another one of my favorite writers and creators of all time. Sandman and Good Omens weren't perfect one-to-one retellings of their source material, but they were very close. Also, Gaiman himself worked very closely on those shows and approved or actively pushed for some of those changes. While I don't like all of those changes, mostly Constantine no longer being John Constantine, but now being Joanna Constantine. John Constantine's one of my favorite comic book characters ever. It didn't change or hurt the stories in any major way.
It's true.
Hollywood has honestly been doing this for a long, long time. With comic book movies, you can get away with a lot more because comics themselves can't stick to a singular storyline. But when you're adapting the beloved works of famous authors that have sold millions of copies of their books, you'd better give the fans what the hell they want.
Give me what I want. Give me what I want! Give me what I want! Give me what I want! Give me what I want!
When talentless, Hollywood loser wannabe writers change the stories up too much, the films and shows flop. Hell, even when they do remakes or sequels that completely change the spirit of what they're recreating, they fail. And there's a reason for that. People want what they fell in love with, not your version of what they love.
Off is a direction you can
But when creative minds in Hollywood actually stick to the source material, listen to the fans, and make a labor of love for a fandom, that's when the shows and films are remembered fondly forever.
It's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off for him.
Comment with your thoughts on this. Do you agree with me, George R.R. Martin, and Neil Gaiman? Or does it not bother you when they change stuff up a lot? What was your favorite book-to-film adaptation? What was your most hated? And are there any books you'd love to see adapted for TV or film in the future? Let me know down in the comments section. As always, the link to the article I covered can be found in the video description. Also, please share this video around to everyone you know, and don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and click that little bell to be notified every time we post brand new content. I've been Troy from Marks on Media, and we'll see you next time.